Okay guys, Mr. Barker here, starting Unit 4, linear functions, or linear equations, either way you want to look at it. So, let's go ahead and start it off. What is a linear equation? Alright, so what we're going to write here is it is simply just an equation involving variables, which you guys know is a letter that represents a number. But you guys also should know that when graphed, it's going to make a straight line. Alright? So if you're looking, ooh, that's not a very good angle right there. There we go, that's better. Alright? So if you're looking at this page right here, don't forget your name. You guys are in high school. Alright, so if you're looking at this page right here, guys, you'll see 3 different types that we're going to talk about today. 2 we've already discussed. Alright, there's your slope-intercept form. You know your M is your slope and your B is your Y-intercept. You guys were just tested on that. When do you use that? Well, okay, you remember when given the Y-intercept and slope is when you use that. Those can be in word problems, those could be in graphs. Another one that we've talked to you about is this guy right here, okay? This was the point slope form. Okay, that was the nasty looking one that you guys didn't like very much. Okay, so that was the y minus y1, which was the y coordinate, equals the slope again, parentheses x minus x1, which was the x coordinate. And you guys use this when you're given an ordered pair, which is just a fancy way of saying a point, right? And the slope, which is why it's called the point slope form. Very original. Okay? Alright, so now on to the new one, okay, which is this guy right here. Okay? This is standard form. This is the new one that we're going to be spending a lot of time on today. Okay? So here it is right here. Okay, so this is just when you're looking at this, okay, it's just the number in front of the x is always your a, okay, that affects the x. The number in front of y is always b, that affects the y. And the c is always your total, guys. Normally, especially dealing with these word problems, is money, okay, but it can be different stuff, but normally it's going to be money. All right, so when do we use this? You use this when you're asked to find the X-intercept and the Y-intercept. And you guys remember that the intercept is basically the place where the line crosses the axis. So we're going to show you how to pull out those intercepts today in that standard form. Okay? So if we're looking at these, we're going to do some practice problems, all right? These are verbal. Okay, you guys always freak out with verbal. But what we're going to do here is we're just going to pull out the information and put it into a formula, one of the 3 that we mentioned. Okay, so when you're doing this, you remember from taking your test that you need to pull out important information like per, or increasing, or decreasing, right? So if I'm looking here right off the bat, okay, I'm not going to read the problem, but I see the word per, okay? So per is kind of giving away your slope, or your m, okay? So if I'm looking here, all right, you got 50 kilobytes each billing cycle. That 50 kilobytes is a starting amount, okay? That's what we're starting with, okay? So anytime it gives you a starting amount, we know that that is our Y-intercept, And anytime it says per, we know that is slope, right? So if it's giving me an M and it's giving me a B, this is the formula that I'm using. Y equals mx plus b. There's that nasty looking angle again. Okay? So you just plug them in, guys. Okay? So that one would simply be y equals 2x plus 50. Okay? You just plug them in. This guy right here, Tony's car, is depreciating. That is important. At a rate of $1,500 per year. So this time it's telling you the slope 2 times. It's saying rate and it's saying per. Okay? So I know right off the bat that that's going to be my M, or my slope. Okay? But this time if you keep reading, it doesn't give you a starting amount. It gives you 2 numbers. Okay? It says in 5 years it is worth $22,500. Okay? Well, so you know, remember, time is always your independent variable. Okay? Which means money is going to depend on time. Alright? So we know that the 5 is our x value, or a point. Okay? And the the y would be 22.5. Okay? So if I'm looking at this, if it gives me a point and it gives me a slope, I'm going to put that in 2-point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And you just plug them in. But kind of remember, guys, this is what y'all didn't like very much, is when we're plugging them in, you kind of have to flip-flop the places of the point. Okay? So the slope is staying the same. The slope I know is depreciating, so we know that that is a negative slope. There we go. Okay? So that would be a negative 1,500. Okay? And then you're kind of flip-flopping the places of your point, right? So let me kind of show you here. This is the x1 point. This is the y1 point. And this guy right here has got to come in way over here, right? So when I plug that into that formula, that's going to be a negative 5, right? This guy right here has got to drop down right here, okay? So that would be a negative 22.5. And you just bring the rest down, guys. So that would be a y minus 22.5 equals a negative 1,500 parentheses x minus 5. So there's a little bit more stuff going on that one, okay? But if you guys just kind of know to flip-flop your x1 and y1 when you plug this in and change the sign, we just were tested over that. So that is not anything new yet. This guy is new, okay? So now I'll go ahead and read this one. It says Valerie started a lemonade stand selling small lemonades for $2, which is X, and large lemonades for $4, which is Y. And she made a total of $44. Okay? So right off the bat, okay, I know that I'm using the new one, right? And the total gives it away. The word total gives it away. All right? So the total is always going to be your C value. Okay? A goes with X, B goes with Y. All right? So if I'm looking here, A would equal 2. B would equal 4. And then the total, or C, would equal the 44. Alright, so this is how you do this. You identify your A, B, and C terms, and you just simply plug them in. Okay, so that would be 2x plus 4y equals a total of 44. Not too hard. We're just substituting in for variables, guys. Question number 4, Peyton's base salary for at her new sales job is $30,000 plus 40% commission on total sales. Okay, so on this particular one, it's a little confusing because you see total, you're thinking, oh, okay, well that's standard form. Well, in this case, it only gives you the two numbers, right? So if I'm looking at this one, okay, it's giving you a starting amount, okay? Anytime it gives you, that's a starting amount. So that is your B value, okay? And then it's changing, it's at a rate of change of 40. So if I'm looking, that is my M, okay? So if you're given an M and a B, you know you're going to use Y equal MX plus B, which we've been using since middle school, all right? So, but the thing is, you want to go ahead and convert that percentage to a decimal. So that would just simply be 0.4x plus 30k, all right? Or 0.4x. So you'd have to convert that to a decimal on that guy right there. Question number 5, okay? You see you got the x, y, and a total again, okay? So that would be the standard form. Write that down. Okay? So A, it says, is quarters. So you guys got to know, if you don't know how much a quarter is worth, then we got problems. But a quarter is worth 25 cents. Okay? A dime is worth 10 cents. And then running out of room here, but the total, or the C, is $50. Okay? So you're just writing down the important information right there. Okay? And you just plug it in. 0.25 x plus 0.10y equals a total of $50. If you want to make that $50, that's fine. Okay. Last one on the word problems. Okay. Whoops. Circle that. Question number 6. Reagan sold tickets for theater totaling $150. The tickets were $10 for adults X and $5 for students Y. So boom, right there, right off the bat, it's telling you what formula to use, right? So that, to me, is telling me to use the standard form, right? Okay, so identify your terms. A, you got $10 for adults. B, you got $5 for students. And the total for all of them, or your C value, is $150. Okay? Plug them in and you're done. 10x plus 5y equals 150. So hopefully you guys see how easy it is to identify standard form in these word problems. Okay, now we're going to graph them. Okay, well, before we graph, let's go ahead and answer this question here. Okay, how do you graph them? Okay, well, that's very simple. You need to pull out the X and Y-intercept. Okay? And you do this by substituting the opposite value as 0. Let's show you how to do that. Okay? So, you notice you're in standard form. Alright? And I'm probably going to get another sheet of paper to show you how to do this, because I really don't have a lot of room here. I'm just going to grab another sheet of paper here. Just set it right there. Okay? So, you almost have to work this problem 2 times, right? You see, you need to substitute the opposite value as 0. Okay, so I'm going to write this guy down here. 4x plus 3y equals 12. And 4x plus 3y equals 12. Okay? So you see I wrote it down twice. Right? So if I want to find we'll go ahead and find the y-intercept first. If I find the y-intercept, I'm basically going to substitute 0 for the opposite value, which the opposite of y is x. Okay? So what happens is, 4 times 0 is 0. So that's gone. So I'm just left with 3y equals 12. Right? And guys, this is a one-step equation. You guys were doing this in Unit 1. You got a coefficient in 3y. The opposite of multiply is divide. So that would be y equals 4. Okay? Over here, you're going to substitute for the other value. So if I want to find the x-intercept, I got to substitute 0 for y. So he's gone right there, and we're going to put a 0 in for the other value this time. 3 times 0 is 0, so that leaves me with 4x equals 12. One step, equation, divide by 4, and you're left with 3. Okay? So, you're almost done here. These are actually not your answers. If I'm looking here, guys, okay, you got to write them as points. So, you guys already know you substitute 0 for the opposite value. So, where x is 3, y would be 0. And where, and over here, this would be 0, 4. Okay? And I'm going to show you an easier way to do that after I'm going to do a couple more, and then I'll show you an easier way. Okay? So, same thing over here. Oh, I think it wants us to graph them. So let's graph them real quick. Alright, so guys, it's super simple to graph them. It already gives you your x and y intercept. So just put your points on the line. Okay, so we'll do the y-intercept first. 0, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the x-intercept is 3, 0. 1, 2, 3. Just need 2 points to find slope. Find you a straight edge, and you're done graphing. Super simple to graph the intercepts, right? Alright. Over here, we're going to do it again. Alright. So, this time I'm just going to substitute it on the front end, right? So, I'm going to put 0 in for x, okay, which leaves me with, and you should probably put it in parentheses, leaves me with 3y equals 9. I would divide both sides, and I would have my y real fast. Y is 3, okay? This time I'm going to substitute 0 for the other value, so x plus 3 parentheses 0 equals 9. 3 times 0 is gone. Alright, so that would be x equals 9. Find it real fast. Okay, so we need to make sure that we put them down as points, right? So that that x would be 9, 0, and that y would be 0, 3. Okay? To graph it, 0, 3, 1, 2, 3. Count to 9 on the x. 1, 2, some of these are hard to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Almost to the end there of that coordinate plane. And if you're looking at this, you go ahead and take your straight edge. And when you're drawing your line, guys, make sure you're going all the way through your coordinate plane. Okay, because you want to show that that arrow is continuous. Keeps going. Alright? Alright. One more that way, and then I'm going to show you a little shortcut. Alright, so I'm going to substitute for x. I'm going to put 0 in for x first to find my y-intercept. So that is 0 minus 2y equals 6. And when I substitute, guys, you kind of get used to plugging in with parentheses. That'll make your life easier later on. Okay? So we know that that is just basically negative 2y equals 6. Divide both sides by a negative 2. And that would be a negative 3. Okay? Substitute 0 for the y value this time. So that would be x minus 2 parentheses 0 equals 6. The negative 2 times 0 is gone, so that would just give me my x. Right? That one is much easier. And of course, we need the intercept, so that would be 6, 0, and 0, negative 3. Graph them. Super simple. 0, negative 3 on my y. 1, 2, 3. 6, 0 on my x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take you a straight edge and go all the way through your coordinate plane. Just like that. Now, for the shortcut, this is the way I like doing it. Okay? We'll get a fresh side here, right? Okay? So, if I'm looking at this guy right here, you probably noticed a pattern with your work, right? You're dividing, okay? So if you just, guys, if you remember to find the x, you take your c value and divide it by your a value, and to find your y, you take your c value and divide it by your b value. Okay, so it might help if you actually write the standard form up here, right? Okay, so let's find the x-intercept first, right? So x equals c, which is 10 over negative 5. Okay? All right, so 10 divided by negative 5 would be negative 2. How much quicker I found it? Let's look over here. Okay, so y would equal c, which is 10 over, okay, b is, what is b? Well, you guys remember there's an imaginary 1 in front of us, 1y, right? So 10 divided by 1 is, you got it, 10. So you see, I found these a lot faster, but you guys can use either way you want, okay? Either way you want. So as a point, that would be negative 2, 0, and 0, 10. Graph it. Okay, so 0, 10 is going to be way up here at the top, right? And negative 2, 0, 1, 2 is going to be right there. Take your straight edge and you're done. Okay? Last page for me today. All right, so we're going to kind of put it all together here. We're going to do a verbal, we're going to do the equation, we're going to do the graph, we're going to do the table, we're going to do all this stuff, right? We're just kind of, this is all one question. Okay, we're kind of putting it all together for you guys. Okay, so first things first, let's read it. You have a pocket full of dimes. Okay, well, we remember from our previous question, dimes is 10 cents, quarters is 25 cents, and you guys see it's telling me, it's giving me an x and a y and a total, okay? So I know I'm going to be using ax plus by equals c, right? Because there's my total right there, okay? Now, we've already identified our a, b, and c term, right? So when you're coming down here, just plug them in. All right, so that is 0.10x plus 0.25y equals my total of 5. And I'll go ahead and put that as money. And we just said on our previous page, if we want to graph it, okay, pull out the intercepts, right? Pull out the intercepts. This is my blue. Do this in blue here. Okay, so I'm going to plug 0 in first. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use the new way. Just kidding. So x equals c divided by a. So x equals 5 divided by 0.10. So x would equal 50. Okay? Y is c divided by b. Okay? So that is 5 again divided by 0.25. So y would equal 20. Okay? So as points, I'm looking at 0, 20 and 50, 0. Basically, I have the y-intercept here, and I have the x-intercept here, right? And I'll just stay in blue here. So we know what is x? X is dimes. So I'm going to say dimes or x, right? And then that would make quarters or y. Okay. Now, I'm just going to go by 50s here. 0, 50, 100, 150, 200. Okay, that should be enough. Okay. And then same thing right here. 0, 50, 100, 150, 200. All right. Now, it gave me the x and y intercept, right? What is my x-intercept? Well, it's 50. Okay. There it goes, right there. It's where the line crosses the x-axis, right? Okay. What is the y-intercept? Y-intercept is 20, right? So let's see. It's 25. So let's say about right there. So I probably should have numbered a little bit different because it didn't have too much of a graph right there, but you guys understand the concept, right? So just use different numbers. Okay, so that's going to go through your coordinate plane. That's not the best coordinate plane in the world, but you guys understand the concept. Okay, I probably should have used different numbers right there, maybe 10s. But that's okay. We still know our x and y intercept. All right. If we're looking here, our y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so if I'm looking right there, we already said it was 20. So that would be 0, 20 as a point. The x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. So that would be 50, 0 as a point. Now, this guy right here is something new. Your teachers kind of touched on it. You might also see it written like this. Roots. Roots or zeros are the same thing. And it's real simple, guys. The root or the 0 is just the same as the x value. So if the x value is 50, then guess what? Your 0 or your root is also 50. All right? So just kind of note the x-intercept, the root, the 0, it's all the same number. So if you guys can kind of remember that. So I'm just going to write always the same as the x-intercept. All right, so that's kind of important. You're going to probably see something like that on your test. And of course, the slope. Okay, you could find your slope. What kind of slope is that? That is a negative slope. Okay, and then you could rise over run to find your slope. Okay, so if I'm looking here, I started at 20. 20 went down to 0. Yeah. You guys remember how to find slope. If you don't remember how to find slope, you can always find it on the formula. So I'll go ahead and kind of refresh your memory on the formula since I can't even read my own graph. You guys probably can't read it. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay. We'll call the y-intercept, we'll call this x1, this y1, this x2, this y2. Okay? So So I'm plugging these guys in, okay? Y2 would be 0 minus Y1 would be 20 over X2 would be 50 minus X1 would be 0. That would be a negative 20 over 50. So 10 will go into both of these, so that would be a negative 2 over 5. So my slope would be a negative 2 over 5. So it's kind of a quick reminder on how to do slope with the old formula. If you guys were taught how to do it on the calculator, you could have done that also, but that would be my slope. That would be my m. Okay? On the last one, guys, remember anytime it's in parentheses, that is the input, right? Or the x value. So what does 5 represent? Well, we already said what x is, so that would be the dimes, okay? And we know the 0 is also the same as the x, so it would also be the dimes, okay? Or you could say x-intercept, all right? So because we know 0, root, x-intercept, they're all the same. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful on Unit 4, Day 1. You guys will have a Khan Academy assignment that goes along with this. My name is Mr. Barker. I'm signing out.